Visit Hughes Federal Credit Union on the web at hughesfcu.org.
Steve Kerr showed me this move back in the 80s. It's called the robot.
Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Hughes Federal Credit Union. I'm Star Sports Editor Ryan Finley, here with Greg Hansen. Greg, a strange first week of football in the Pac-12. The teams that scheduled good opponents lost. The teams that scheduled bad opponents, well, a couple of them lost too. It was just, with the exception of Utah and USC, a very strange week all the way around.
I like how the risk-reward of college football scheduling goes. And to me, what made me laugh was there was no risk in the Washington State, Portland State schedule. Right. And yet it imploded on Mike Leach.
Right, and it may have set that program back a year, 2 years, 18 months, whatever it is, just one loss to a bad team.
He's no longer looked at as a conquering hero.
Right, and you look at the flip side of that too. Every once in a while, scheduling a non-Power 5 team, shall we say, actually helps you. Look at the case of the Arizona Wildcats. They played last Thursday, started without a handful of starters who were suspended, lose Scooby Wright in the second quarter. If they were playing, I will contend, any Power 5 conference team worth its salt, Arizona would have lost, and all the momentum from last year and the year before and all of that would have gone poof away.
And isn't it funny how fragile college football is?
Right.
One game. What if Arizona loses at Nevada this week?
Yeah.
Then it's a game you shouldn't have scheduled.
Right. It's incredible. And speaking of games you probably shouldn't have scheduled, Arizona State went and played Texas A&M in Houston. That's an hour and a half away from Texas A&M's campus for a neutral site game, and got beat. I guess that it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, but you know, how badly does this hurt ASU's chances of being very good down the road?
Well, I thought Texas A&M was so good. I had no idea they were that good. Who did? Except maybe Texas A&M.
Right.
I think it comes down to you got to know who you are. And Arizona made a big mistake in 1991 when they were number 3 in the nation playing at Penn State. They didn't know who they were.
Right, and that 99 season was kind of the beginning of the end for Dick Tomey.
It was the beginning of the end. And they added that game 8 months before it was played.
Right, so it's not like you can sit there and go, well, we scheduled this 3 years ahead of time, we had no idea. Same thing with ASU, though. ASU scheduled Texas A&M right in the middle of Johnny Manziel mania, when everybody knew Texas A&M was going to be pretty good for a long time. There's no return game.
They were seduced by the money.
Yeah.
And it cost them big.
Absolutely. Now, I will say this about ASU. I give Todd Graham credit. They've scheduled some powerhouse teams during his time there, and there will be more powerhouse teams coming in.
They play home and homes with LSU and Michigan State.
Wow. Then there's BYU in between, isn't there?
Right. And Texas Tech.
Right.
Now, Arizona has home and homes with those two schools, Texas Tech and BYU. But beyond that, Mississippi State, but that's 8 years from now.
Sure, and who knows where any of us will be 8 years from now, much less the Arizona football program.
It seems odd to me how things have tilted a little bit. When Dick Tomey came to Arizona, they had home and homes with Oklahoma, Miami, which was like a pro team, and Ohio State. Right. That's unthinkable now.
No, I know. It's strange too, and it's funny the way things have shifted. You know, when Jim Livengood was here as Arizona's athletic director, he had a philosophy of, you want to go easy, medium, hard. Okay, and doesn't you've got 3 non-conference games. One should be against a team you could beat in your sleep. One should be against a team that will test you, but not that much. And the third one should be against another Power 5 team. Nowadays, if you have an easy, medium, hard schedule, you're one of the rare ones.
Your conference play is so difficult. I can see why Greg Byrne hasn't brought in Miami and LSU and Texas A&M. I mean, what comes out of that?
Right.
You get beat. Arizona got beaten all those games against Miami and LSU and Ohio State. I mean, they played Ohio State 3 times.
Right.
Nobody does that.
Right. And I also think, too, that there's a part of it, without beating this topic to death, I think that the schedules are made so far in advance. In a way, Rich Rodriguez's overachieving the last couple years as Arizona's head coach has made the schedule look even worse. I mean, had they gone 3-8, 6-6, 7-5, and now you've got these guys, well, that's one thing. But this is a team that played so well that now I think your average fan sits there and goes, well, let's see who Arizona can beat. Let's go take on all comers.
Look back at the 2 times Rich Rod has played in Nevada. Both went to the wire.
That's true.
I mean, one was an absolute miracle.
Yes.
And last year, Nevada was driving to win the game. Now they go to Reno?
Without Scooby Wright.
That's a tough game.
It is going to be a tough game. Greg, one more thing before we go here. If you could wave a magic wand and find one program in college football that Arizona should start some sort of non-conference rivalry with, who would it be?
In football?
In football.
Well, we were talking about it. How about Duke and Kansas?
Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah.
Take on those other two sort of basketball schools. Arizona is on paper, I think, better than both. And I can only imagine the Duke Blue Devils show up at Arizona Stadium on a hot evening in September. People would, the water sales would go through the roof. People would be booing so long and so loud, the Duke Blue Devils.
If Duke played here in football, it would sell out.
Of course it would, because everybody would want to beat Duke.
Yeah.
It'd be, I like your thinking. That's a good idea.
Maybe not sell out.
Maybe not. Oh, they'd get close. Shoot, if they could draw 50-some-odd thousand people for Texas San Antonio, they could draw for Duke. All right. See, this is a good idea here. Kansas and Duke. It's not super aggressive scheduling, but name brand teams.
Yeah, Missouri, Iowa State.
Yeah. Don't mess with Missouri. They always win their division in a horrible SEC. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Hughes Federal Credit Union. For Greg Hansen, I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.
True fans live for their team. They buy the gear, they order the tickets, they pay for the seats and the experiences. For those true U of A fans, thankfully there is Hughes Federal Credit Union, offering the latest payment choices such as U of A debit cards, paying online, paying a friend with Pop Money, or using Apple Pay with your mobile phone. Show your U of A spirit and put technology and convenience at your fingertips. Hughes Federal Credit Union. Smart choice.